Hey YouTube, it's Fletch. Welcome back to OTH. So today I wanted to briefly talk about and discuss the Californian secession. And bottom line up front, I think it's a good thing. I think if California wants to secede, let them. And you know, they can create their socialist utopia, and they can show the rest of us how to do it. And do I think they'll be successful creating the socialist utopia? No, I don't. Having said that, do I think that's something that will actually happen? No, I don't think it's something that will actually happen. And also, you know, I fully understand that there are tons and tons of little intricacies, you know, that would have to go through that before something like that could ever possibly happen. Regardless of our, so we say, our socio-political differences, you know, with you know, the mainland heart of America and our west coast, that we're tied together. And so even if California did secede and become their own country, we would still definitely need to have very, very deep, very strong diplomatic ties with California. Our deep water ports are there. Lots of, you know, military bases are there, so it's not like we're just gonna like, okay, well, you know, you can have these, and now that's not gonna work. Obviously, lots and lots of red tape would have to be worked out before something like that would ever, you know, even begin to become a feasible thing. Then on top of that, you know, California is also very dependent on the rest of America. And you know, Californians like to brag about that. You know, they're 20% of you know, the United States of America's, I don't know if it's GDP or economy or whatever, but you know, regardless, they are still a significant part of that. However, California, you also have an enormous unfunded liabilities. And you know, when you get that cutoff of federal funding, it's not going to be as easy as what you may think it is either. Plus, I think, you know, if you're being honest with yourself, you also know that a lot of the water that you're using there throughout a lot of California does not come from California. And you know, how is that handled from that point on? Well, you know, obviously, you know, with California being a different country, that would have to be approached differently. You know, also, you know, a lot of Californians are really proud to say, well, you know, a lot of the food that you eat is grown here in California. Exactly. And the opposite side of that is, without the rest of the heartland buying the produce that you have, there goes a lot of your, you know, product, not produce, but a lot of the product that you produce in the state of California. So like I said earlier, I definitely think that there is a need for a very deep interdependency between the heartland of America and our western coast. You know, I think that there are forces at play right now that would like nothing more than to create division here in our country. And there are people who honestly, sincerely want California to break away and secede. And my own personal opinion is, have at it, because socialism does not work. Socialism almost always leads to communism. And the only difference between socialism and communism is that when the average guy figures out that some people really are more equal than others, that socialism then is enforced at the barrel of a rifle. It then becomes communism, because the only people that are allowed to have firearms are the authorities, right? And those in the right party, or, you know, those high enough on the totem pole, as the old saying goes. Another thing that socialists or socialistic type people would tend to say or try to tell you is that capitalism is what got us to where we're at, or free market, you know, capitalism. I would simply tell you that right now we do not have capitalism. Right now what we have is fascism. And fascism is, you know, business relationship between corporations and the government, both working hand in hand to facilitate each other to increase profits, to increase funding, to increase strength. And so, you know, they keep getting stronger and stronger because of their partnership. And in the meantime, they're crushing everyone in the wake of that. And there's very little difference between communism and fascism, in that, I guess someone's saying, oh, he doesn't even know the difference between fascism and communism. Yeah, actually I do, but I'm trying to break it down to, you know, its simplest form, and what makes the difference to the average person out there to, you know, Susie Soccer Mom and Joe Sixpack. And that's just simply that for the average person, there's very little difference between communism and fascism. Both are anti-liberty. Both eventually become anti-Second Amendment. Both eventually become anti-religion. And, you know, in a nutshell, it's anti-liberty, both of them. And it's simply not good for our country in either aspect. And so hopefully Trump does follow through with his campaign promises and brings back a lot of the liberty that we once enjoyed in this country. And you know, if those of y'all out there that think that socialism is the answer, then by all means, you know, let California go through their secession, you know, and we'll create, you know, our embassies, and we'll create our trade deals and all the 9 yards, and you know, all you snowflakes, you can all go move to California and live in your own, you know, socialist utopia and show the rest of us how to do it. But and I'm sure that some of you will, but I'd say that for the most part that most people aren't. And not only that, but those of you that are liberty minded, you're so trapped in your own mind about the way that things should be rather than the way that they are, that even should California start to go through secession, that you probably won't move out of California anyways. In some ways, yes, I do feel sorry for those of you that are liberty minded and you live in California, but if you're so set in your ways and the prison in your own mind that you refuse to move out of California, even at this point, then, you know, I'm sorry, I simply don't know what to tell you. And, you know, I am someone that's speaking from experience. You know, we used to live in the suburbs of Denver for many years, and, you know, saw the social decay and, you know, just things that we wanted no part of anymore. And so we eventually, you know, picked up, we moved to Montana, and, you know, one thing led to another, and we picked up and we moved to the Ozarks. And so, yes, I am someone that does walk out the things that he says and the things that he preaches to others and about. So, you know, those of you that are liberty minded and you still feel trapped in California, I would say that you know, you need to start putting one foot in front of the other and start walking if that's what it takes. You need to get out of Commiefornia. So what do you think? What are your thoughts and comments on the succession of California? Yeah, I would like to see California secede and create their socialist utopia and show the rest of the world about, you know, how wonderful socialism is and how great it works. But eventually they'll run out of other people's money and they're not going to be able to do all of the things that they're currently doing. California does succeed, or secede is I think the correct way to say that. You know, it was I think 2 years ago or something like that there was actually a ballot initiative to separate parts of Northern California from the rest of California. And so I think that may also be a viable option, you know, if the socialists in California are so convinced that that you know, they are just going to be that much better off without the rest of us redneck hillbillies here in the heart of America that thinks that the things that Trump is doing are good things, good long-term solutions for the betterment of our country. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Please feel free to leave your comments below. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Shalom.